Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Hope you're having a good one. This is going to be a fun show. I can already tell because I barely even got a hello in, and Danny was already like, hit record. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Come on.
Yeah.
I want to say all these things on camera that I'm feeling now. Oh,
yeah.
man. Good Lord.
Just for everybody, I think most people know, but we record on a Wednesday morning usually, and this of course is the Wednesday morning before Thanksgiving, so I'm sure there's all kinds of fun things going on, but especially trying to pack things. Like my wife went off to work and was like, I'll be back. Like, I'm only doing like a kind of a half a day type of thing, but then got rolled into it as well was when I get home, I want to take a shower and get the work day, washed off me, which completely understand that.
Sure,
I completely support that. Also, too, is, hey, I gotta go get my weekly allergy shot. And she was like, maybe I'll go from work to get my allergy shot to come home. And I'm like, oh, no, hell no. That's not happening. I'm like, you're coming straight home so that I can pack our car with everything, because I was really kind of not thinking, and I did not put gas in the Prius, which she could have drove to work, but since it doesn't have enough gas in it, because I wasn't thinking, hey, so now I'm like, all right, fine. When you get home, like I've got to hitch up the travel rack and pack everything in, which won't take a long time. It actually will probably be about the same time as her getting ready to go, and be on our merry way.
Merry, merry way. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And hopefully not have all the fun traffic. But that's what Waze is for. That's what Waze is for. I love Waze because you get the workarounds all the time.
Right.
That you don't get with other mapping out apps.
Yeah, Waze is actually, I think, trying to help you. Whereas other like Maps is just trying to tell you how you could get there. And that's it. We went because we'll go out to the cities, and it's a 3-hour drive, just to get there. And or we're going up like to Eric Schoberg's house, whatever. It's just like, 2.5 hours. Cool. If we take this route on Maps, it'll be straight up the interstate and then across basically another major highway, and it's great. But it's quicker, and I'm using air quotes for anybody that's not watching the video, quicker to go across basically a state highway. And it's 2 lanes for a huge part of it. And they're doing logging type construction. Like they've got logging trucks. I mean, this is not the route to take. I'm like, what? Who thought this was a good? And the funniest thing is because we took 2 cars, not like when we took Fabian to college, right? Had to take 2 cars, right? And so we're cruising down the road, and I don't try to stay together on a caravan like that. I'm like, we'll just meet you there, and if you run into a problem, let us know. But it's so difficult to try to. Well, now everybody needs to get off the highway. No, you get there when you get there. I get there, and we're getting off the interstate for some reason. Like, I don't know why this is going there. And literally, we see Marnie and the kids in the Prius zipping on up the interstate, and I'm like, we did something wrong here. And I'm like, nope, trust Maps. And Fabian was like, yeah, we got it. Map says this is where we're going. Maybe Mom made a mistake. Maybe she has to make a stop. And I'm like, all right. Oh my God. Logging trucks. And I mean, it stopped at a spot where it was just, there was no way around anything. And they're just sitting there, and it's not road construction really, but it's just the construction off the side of it. And I'm like, okay, I want you guys to be safe. And I know this work is good, but dang, do you have to,
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, hey, to kind of go along with that, so I don't have to deal with this thing today, but this has been something that's been going on in the city for about the past, I don't know, month now. We had a major, major fire on one of the main arteries in downtown.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you've heard news stories about bridges collapsing. How about a bridge that catches on fire? They're not even sure exactly what started it
I
exactly,
was going
but
to say, what? How does that
well,
even happen?
the jury's out on exactly what took place, and I'm not going to put any assumptions into it because there's all kinds of different things floating around. One of those, the Big Mac Bridge. So anybody that came to Home Dad Con in Cincinnati, it's the bridge that has the big yellow arch on it.
Hmm.
And so on the Cincinnati side, it caught on fire, and I'm talking like an inferno. Like we're talking hundreds
Yeah.
of like 300-foot tall flames just shooting up from the ground level all the way up through the middle of the bridge because it's split into two roads. And just, I mean, it got so hot, Danny, it literally started melting the iron beams that are like
Ooh,
on it. And so the south, the side where you're able to go south is completely shut down. Like it is so structurally
yeah.
unstable that they had to come in and bring in supports just so that they can actually do the demolition on it. And
Mm,
the worst part about it is that with this being a major portion of the highway, because it's what basically allows you to go north on 71, which is the east side of Cincinnati, or south on 71. But anyway, it's such a problem that they divert traffic all the way out onto the east side of Cincinnati, out where I work at the brewery. Like it's bad. And here's people traveling to go to see family this week for
ooh,
Thanksgiving. And I've already seen like all kinds of interesting
oh,
stuff because not only that, then everybody gets diverted onto 75 and has to go that way. And that's
oh
already
man.
a,
Yeah,
a,
it's
a
already
headache too.
choked.
Yeah, and
Oh,
because you got everybody on 75 going to the airport. So
oh
it's
wow, yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad you don't have to deal with that. That's one less stressful thing. So maybe that's a good way
Yeah,
to
but
look
there's
at it.
also, but there is still all the packing and getting things around. And we take our dog with us when we go see my folks and stuff. And so it's just like getting everything together and making sure we have everything. And I think this actually will be the first, this will be the first trip to my folks' place since Hezekiah was diagnosed with his medical issues. So it's like making sure all that is with us too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It really it's almost exponential too. When you have any little thing with your kid, it seems to get bigger when you're going on a trip.
yeah,
It's just like, oh, come on, can we not? Can we just stop? And it's only 8:30, right?
right.
So early in the morning, I've been up for a while, but the kids don't have school today, so they're all staying, hopefully sleep as long as possible, right? And then we went and got my son from college yesterday, or I went and brought him home, and that was great. We stayed up late watching a movie, and
There you go.
he's going to sleep in, right? It's going to be great. No, no, no. I get up now. Granted, I do get up at 6, so and I'm trying not to do that, but I just do it. And my 15-year-old will sleep until noon, no problem. But the little kids and Marnie are up and excited and ready to go and do the things, and they're waking up Fabian and they're making too much. And I'm like, all right, all of you, and you just need to shut up. You just need to be quiet. And I'll say shut up, but you need to be quiet. Calm down. Dad needs coffee. All right. I am now officially addicted to coffee. I'm going to just say that out loud. I'm not going to try to change that before the beginning of the year because there's too many reasons that I'm going to need coffee to wake up.
Speaking
But
of which,
right. Yeah. And I finished mine and I'm like, man, I'm going to tell a kid to get me another cup. No, I'm not. I get jittery, but we got so much going on and I'm happy about it. I'm glad, but I'm like, could you just wait until 8 or 9 today would be great. 9 or 9:30 today would have been great because we could have got our recording at least mostly done and then things could fall apart and we're good. But no. And I'm glad they're excited, right? I mean, I'm
yeah,
glad it was what was really funny and it was so cute was so Lizzie is 10 and gets low blood sugar and she gets very hangry, right? And when she's hangry, she does not like to be told what to do. She doesn't like to be made to do anything. And she definitely doesn't want you telling her that she needs to get something to eat. She gets so, and I get it because that's me. Or maybe now I'm not as bad, but all my life I'm like, oh, I don't need anything to eat. I'm fine. Oh, yeah, okay. Just throw a sandwich at me and let me finish eating it, right? So Monday night we go and we've got scouts that night. So and then we got volleyball. They get home, we go pick them up after volleyball, and they had a little bit of a pizza party. So I figured they'd had something to eat. They're okay. And like we're getting home, we're gonna put our stuff down, go to the bathroom, do whatever you need to do, but we got to head right back out because we got to go over to actually, Kiba Freeman. He opened his Taekwondo studio here.
Yeah.
And had his open house or Monday night, and I'm like, we're
Cool.
going over there. We're going to check it out, and because I want them to do something, and it'll probably end up being something else for Lizzie because she lost her mind. She was curled up in the front seat of the truck with her arms around her knees, crying, and just so overwhelmed because I was making her go do this thing that she hates. And I'm like,
Oh,
what do you hate? You don't even know what it is. She goes, I don't know, but I don't want to do it. You don't like to be told what to do. And I'm thinking, yeah, get something to eat. So like an idiot, I'm like, you had enough to eat, right? And she just looked at me like she was going to laser beam my brain out with her eyes. And I'm like, okay, you did not, I guess, but I'm not going to start. So it was just, pull up, we're going to crash. But so long story, of course, but we get home and I drop her off and I go to scouts with Marcus and, Marnie says, hey, just so you know, she's been crying straight for half an hour, and she and I have been working on learning to regulate her emotions. And she's crying because she's like, why can't I just be normal? Why do I have so much trouble? Why do I have to be the one that has the emo? Why, and just again, she's a child, so she
I mean,
doesn't get
she's
it.
10. She's
Yeah.
probably on the front half of getting ready to start puberty.
Shut
And
up,
so,
shut up, shut up.
dude,
You shut your mouth. It's not this
hey,
morning, sir. Not this morning, sir. No. No, you're right. You're
you
right.
just
And
gotta
that's
watch.
exactly.
You just gotta watch the movies Inside Out 2 and
Mhm.
watch the movie Red Panda. Okay,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
let, let-
And Marnie's talked to her a lot, and I would be happy to talk to her, but I don't know enough to. I mean, I can read a book or whatever, but realistically, I'm not the expert because I don't have a monthly cycle, right? So yeah, there's that. Thanks for reminding me. But
hey, my
so
daughter's right there too, bro.
she,
So
I
I'm
know,
not.
right? And it's like
I'm
I
not
can do
saying that
this.
you're the
I can
only
do
one in the
this.
boat.
But she's at home and Marnie says she's been crying. I'm like, yeah, that's the thing. And she goes, okay, so she went ahead to and is going to take a shower, and she hates taking showers. She is a dirty little goblin and she prefers it that way. She fights no, I don't want it, and she hates it and she complains, and she's in the shower yelling at us about how she hates showers and hates being clean, hates being wet, and hates being cold, and and I'm like, child, you have dirt caked on you. You have to go get clean. You stink. You have to go get clean, right? Don't know why, but it is a thing. So, but she said, Mom, I'm already angry. And I know I'm going to have to take a shower tomorrow. And I don't want to be angry when Fabian gets here. So I'm just going to take a shower tonight so I can just be angry about all of it at once. And then tomorrow I'll be okay. And I'm like, oh my, that's so, because she doesn't want to be angry while Fabian's here, and she doesn't want to be upset or to make Fabian upset or mess up his time. And it was just so compassionate,
Yeah,
and just so surprised. And I'm not like, oh my God, like shocked, but like,
she's thinking
wow,
of others even though she
you
doesn't feel good. That's
right.
amazing.
Right. And I'm like, I, I love this child. This
Hey,
is my favorite child.
you raised that. Well done.
Well,
You raised
well,
that.
I helped in that, I guess. But it's so amazing, the
Yeah.
little things like that that really they're the return on investment,
You can tell
you
she
know?
loves and misses her brother too.
Right. Right. And it was so and Fabian missed all of us, and I'm not used to this, right? I mean, my family, we didn't really miss each other. I mean, I guess we did, but it wasn't like, oh, I really want to see you again. It's like, okay, we're gonna see each other at this point. But it was never like the most joyful times of your life for me, right?
Right.
And love, like I love my brothers, love my mom, but it just wasn't the same thing. And it's so sweet because even like they're 18, 15, 12, and 10, right? Or really 12 next month, but they all missed each other and they
Yeah.
all wanted to hang out with the other. And Fabian's like, yeah, I mean, I definitely miss Lizzie and I miss Marcus. I don't miss James though. He's a jerk.
Mm.
And I'm like, you two were getting along so well when you were living with us, before you went to what? And he said, Yeah, I'll admit it, Dad. I just needed to say that because he's my little brother and I have to be grumpy about my little brother or whatever. And I'm like, you're just doing it to do it. And he's like, yeah, well, he's all right, I guess. I'm like, yes, that's the maturity that I'm
Right.
looking for out of you. Let's
I
go.
think that that's the one thing that I have in conversation with dads a lot is the fact that having your own family gives you the opportunity to break all of those things that you saw when you were growing up that you look back at and you're like, I didn't like that.
Hmm.
I didn't appreciate that. Like, I don't want to live through that again with my kids.
Yeah.
And so just that whole past experience should drive you to be like, all right, like what kind of changes can we make in our family to not have this happen? Like open communication, which I think is huge in a lot of families now that
Yeah.
wasn't there prior, and just
Yes.
being in tune with, hey, like I don't want to be this monstrous attitude when one of my favorite people with my family shows up. So I'm going to do everything I
Right.
can to prep for
Yes.
that and not be in that place. Like stuff like that is not things that would have been, you know, dealt with back in the day. It'd been like,
No.
well, maybe I'll be in a better mood. I don't know. I don't even know what to do to get get myself into that place of being in a better mood for the next day kind of thing. I hope I just wake up on the right side of the bed and everything's peachy keen. And,
Right.
so to be proactive about it,
Hmm.
especially a 10-year-old to be proactive about it,
Yeah.
like,
That was cute.
wow. Like if
That was
there's
so cute.
I'm sure there are dads going, holy cow, like I wouldn't have gone. I don't even know that I would have even got to that point, like in my adult life, let alone being a 10-year-old. That's awesome, man. Like that's really special. I'm excited for your guys' family time. I hope that it's
Yeah.
awesome for you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and we're having a fairly small. I say fairly small because big. It's not big gathering, but we're having a fairly small, get together. We're having my brother and his two kids over,
Oh,
so
nice.
that'll
Yeah.
be nine of us, and then we're having a couple from town that we know or that I know really, from like uh, Grief Book Club. We go to book club together, and they're just cool, and they're just two wonderful women that have two kids, and they're not going to have their kids this week because they're with the father for Thanksgiving. And I'm like, y'all come on over. And they
Yeah.
were like me. They were like, I don't do holidays sometimes, just lack of experience or just lack of good, fond memories of it.
Hmm.
And I said, just come over. We're not even having turkey. We're having steak. It'll be a weird, just get together and hang out about lunchtime and you just be together. I'm really excited, man. I'm
Yeah.
really almost joyful. I'm not joyful right now because there's been a lot of crap this morning, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I mean, I've been excited before, but it's kind of a new thing for me. And I feel like it is the way that the kids have changed me as much as I've taught and helped them in their life. They've helped me and taught me just as much, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
To the point where I'm like, yeah, I do kind of want to hug. I do. I'm okay being joyful and just hanging out with my family. You know, it's it's a neat thing.
Yeah. No, definitely. I can understand that. We're going home to, like I said, be with my parents, and also to like I get to see my new baby niece.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be probably send you some pictures of me holding this little
Yes.
squish.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that's gonna be fun. It's wild too, because like so I have her, tiny little thing, and then my oldest nephew just turned 18, and so it's like, holy cow, like two opposite ends of the spectrum and
Yeah.
of being an uncle. But at the same time too, like I really enjoy. I've gotten to the point where I've started to enjoy going home a little bit more to see family. Like there's some family members that I actually will text and be like, "Hey, are you going to be in town?" One of them is one of my cousins, and so she works at a brewery in Northern Ohio. And the past
Awesome.
few years when she comes, she'll bring beer from her brewery. And so like
Hmm.
I'm bringing some stuff for mine. And so we're going to swap beers and stuff like that, which is funny because she doesn't drink beer. So I'm actually bringing her stuff for her owner and her brewer to
All
try
right.
out.
All right.
But still, like just stuff like that. Like it's fun to get together and hang out and share memories and see just kind of what everybody's been up to. And it's very interesting. Like we're the only ones that live in like a big city.
Hmm.
And we travel the furthest to get to the to get to people. So there's a lot that usually we have to spend time catching up on.
Yeah.
Just because, but yeah, man, it's gonna be a good time. We're actually how a lot of times like Christmas light stuff, like you usually have like the drive through
Yeah.
one or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So we up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, there's the Tin Caps minor league baseball team, and this year they actually did a huge Christmas light display inside the stadium, and
Oh,
you can actually you're gonna get a walk like out on the field and
yeah.
through it and stuff. And my parents said that it was really cool because they're season ticket holders, and so my dad's paying for all of us to go up to view that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a lot of fun. That's actually one of our family traditions is the Friday, like Black Friday. We don't really go
Hmm.
shopping. Uh,
Hmm.
what we do is we go up to Fort Wayne. There's this really famous place called Coney Island. You
Hmm.
go there and you get the Coney dogs.
Hmm.
They they make thousands, tens of thousands of Coney dogs throughout the day.
Holy
It's
crap.
insane. Oh yeah, it's insane, and it's an old school diner. I mean, it
Hmm.
it looks the same as it did the day it opened, hands down.
Cool.
So it's really neat. I'll take some photos and send them to you because it's a really neat place. I mean, they've got a huge long like a diner bar type of deal with like the toadstool seats or whatever along that, and then a bunch of other tables. And so yeah, we go in there, we'll get some Coney dogs, and then usually we go for a walk around downtown and check out the Christmas lights. But this year we're actually going to the stadium, so that'll be another part of it, just kind of an extra added tradition. But
Yeah.
yeah, man,
Well,
it's
that's
just
cool.
a good time.
And I have to say that's kind of a non-traditional tradition, in its
Oh
way.
yeah.
And I love that. I really do because and we've talked about it before, about creating your own, doing
Yes.
what your family wants to do, what your family enjoys, and I love to hear that. I really do. I think it's going to be something that your kids will pick up on, like when they have their families. And if y'all all go get Coney dogs together with your kids and their kids, they'll be, I mean, just like perfect life, man. Perfect life. Well
Oh yeah.
done.
Yeah. It's a good time. We have fun. I enjoy it.
Hmm.
So, and it has that sort of like Rockefeller Christmas to it a little bit. So
Uh-huh.
that's the other neat thing about it. And what's wild too is like it's all high school kids basically like working the grills and everything else. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, it's all local people, and that place is just packed out. I mean, there'll be a line down the street waiting to get in. Be like, all right, we got seats for 10. Come on in, that kind of deal.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's gonna be fun. The other thing that always tends to happen is lots of movie watching at
Hmm.
our family. I think my mom is looking to take the kids to go see Moana 2. Uh,
Oh,
so yeah, so that'll
I'm
be fun.
jealous. I want
I
to go
went.
see that.
I sat down yesterday though and watched a new movie that came out on Disney Plus that looked really interesting to me called Out of My Mind.
Hmm.
And it's about a sixth grade girl who has cerebral palsy.
Hmm.
And she, one, I have a heart for kids who are in the special ed program at school and stuff like that. I actually did a lot when I was in high school with students like that.
Hmm.
Um, and I enjoy having like interactions, even just passing by with different folks who have like Down syndrome and things like that. They're very special, and I enjoy that. But anyway, this movie talks about how the sixth grade girl, she pretty much has spent her entire education in one classroom, like the whole time. Like she never got to she never was like brought into like a regular classroom. She, is in this special ed class with little kids all the way up to kids her age and even some of them past that, which is really sad because you're not getting any kind of interaction at all.
Right. Yeah.
And also too, the kids that don't have those things to deal with in their regular life don't get the opportunity to be alongside
Hmm.
kids who have disabilities, which then of course when you do get that whole interaction, it's awkward. And, junior hire is already awkward enough. And then you add that
Right.
element to it. And it's like, yes, junior hires can be very mean in a lot of ways, but a lot
Yeah.
of times they just don't have a filter. They just don't know. Like the first thing that pops in their head is the first thing that comes out of your mouth. And
Yeah.
later on, you're like, I don't think I would have said that if I had known XYZ thing type,
Hmm.
deal. And so in the movie, there's a lot of different things that take place, but for me, it was like watching the interactions of these kids and how things worked out because this young lady is very, very intelligent,
Hmm.
very much like like a Hawking's type thing. Like
Oh
yes,
wow.
might not might not have the mobility that everyone else has or anything else, but boy, that brain is super strong, and
Right.
lots of things come out of it, and that was the case. And it just showed a lot of different elements. Like it pulled no punches when it came to, oh hey, here's this teacher who's like, yeah, sure, like I'd be fine to like be a part of that. And then when it happened, it was like, oh crap, like I didn't really like fully in my head think that it was actually gonna happen. And the biases and just the negativity came out in it, and
Hmm.
just lots of excuses for not opening up your full idea of like or potential to like, oh, like they can do these things.
Yeah.
And so for me though, it was neat to sit there and like watch the kids and see what they were gleaning from the movie. Because one of the things was, and I think that a lot of parents can get caught up in this, is that we teach our kids, hey, don't treat others differently just because they're not like you, accept everybody for who they are. But then in the situation, you've said that to your kid, but maybe you are not fully living that out. And in this
Hmm.
case, this young lady goes over to this student's house, her friend's house, and it's the first time she's actually gone to like, a kid's house, and the mom is because is like a clean as a clean freak, and I'm there's neat freak, like that's just part of a lot of parents.
Yeah.
And so she's putting down like cardboard as this like young lady's wheelchair, has her wheelchair, which is an electric wheelchair going into places. And like she puts down this cardboard, which I completely understand like what you're trying to do. But the worst part about it was is that she picked it all up and like basically like kept her in one spot. And I'm just like,
Oh
oh my gosh, like
wow.
that's awful. But it
Oh.
just played into, just that aspect of things too. It's a really good movie though. And I'm not giving anything really away with like the ending to it and that kind of thing. But Jennifer Aniston plays the voice of the young lady with cerebral palsy, and that in itself is a really special thing as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was just a
That's
really good movie. Really enjoyed it. My son was funny. I was like, this is a true story. And he's like, really? And he's like, it said based on a true story. I go, if it says it's based on a true story, it's a true story. It just doesn't have the people who were actually involved in the real story of
yeah.
it. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Because people are not act. Everybody's not an actor, I should say. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But even for this young lady with cerebral palsy to be acting was really amazing to watch. There was a show on ABC a while back. I can't remember what it was, but it was a full series. I think they did like 6 episodes or 6 seasons or something like that. And it was the same situation. It was a young man who had cerebral palsy, showed his mom was a very much like the fighter for him,
Hmm.
and just all the different things that went into it. It was actually a comedy, which made it even better because the kid with cerebral palsy, dude, he had great jokes like throughout the
Yeah.
whole show, and just these awesome zingers and things like that. And so I can't remember the name of that show is exactly, but that was sort of my first introduction into actors with cerebral palsy, and especially
Uh-huh.
kids. Yeah, that's one that
The,
if you got the time to sit down and watch it, you should
and
definitely
it's
watch out of your mind.
Out of your mind
or out of
on
my
Disney
mind, out of
Plus.
my
Out of my
mind. Yeah,
mind. Out of
out
my
of my
mind on
mind.
Disney Plus.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and when you said it too, out of my mind, meaning am I crazy? Or are things coming, what's coming out of my mind? Like these are the
Hmm.
things that I've created. And it kind of covers both. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, into the idea that, you know, people might think that I'm out of my mind by the
Right.
way that I'm acting, but I'm not actually.
Mhm.
This is just me.
And it's a great message too, because a lot of times like we've seen a lot more, well, I should say a lot more. There were zero occurrences in my young life of seeing a cartoon specifically about friends or anything, and in somewhere in any of that there was a person in a wheelchair. It just never happened. And now you'll watch a lot of the kids shows and they're including everybody now. So you'll have like one of the friends is in a wheelchair or is on crutches or whatever it might be. And just understanding the basic message of it is everybody is the same. We're all people. That's our baseline. We're all human beings. And even if you do have really hard, difficulty or even nonverbal, unable to communicate, whatever it might be, you're still there you know
Yeah.
you're still the same person inside. And to approach that, and to recognize that, I think that's very cool. I hope that keeps going.
The show on ABC is called Speechless
Okay.
because, of course, like he doesn't actually have his own voice,
Hmm.
and it's hilarious. Like honestly, you will die laughing. I think anybody who has any interaction with kids who have special needs will probably see this as it's just even a great way to
Hopefully,
just
yeah.
have an outlet. Well, because the mom in the show, she pulls no punches when it comes to
Hmm.
how she feels about things. Like there's one of the very first episodes, like she pulled into a parking spot that's a handicap spot, and this like Karen comes driving up and was like, "You can't park there," or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, really?" And like pops open the back doors, and out he comes in like the wheelchair. Just makes her feel
I
so stupid.
think I'm okay being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the when she drops him off at his new school and there's steps in the front of the school, there's no ramp at all. And
Hmm.
when they go and ask like, well, how is he supposed to get in the school? They bring him in through the back where like the trash comes out and she loses her ever living
Wow.
mind
Right.
about it,
Yes.
which makes total sense.
As
Uh,
she should.
and just all these different things, like they do a really good job, the writers, of showing like, okay, there is some comedy in this but also some
Hmm.
seriousness in it, and just how they go about getting people to change their mindset with how to be more proactive in helping people who
Hmm.
have disabilities. And so like there's all kinds of just interesting things that take place, even like covert type stuff. Like they've written up some different like goofy little scenarios like that for just like, all right, we're gonna do this like, kind of Mission Impossible thing to, make
Hmm.
something happen. So definitely worth checking out. There's quite a few seasons of it, and it's entertaining. It was on TGI Friday, basically. It was part of the ABC TGI Friday lineup back in like 2016 to 2019.
Okay. So a few years back.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah. That's
pre-COVID.
very cool. Yeah. Right. Right. PC back in the
Yeah,
day
back
before
in the day.
quarantine. Yeah.
We have AD, we have BC, and now we have PC.
And I was watching or reading something somewhere, and it was basically someone remembering that during quarantine there were so many people that are having like themed Zoom parties, and they're doing all these things. They're making breads, and their art's coming out, and the recognition or realization that some of you people just have way too much serotonin. That just you're just covered because others of us have to get our store bought. So so it was just really funny. I'm like, man, quarantine, that change, it's such a huge thing that I don't think we even can recognize the effects that it's having and the ripples it have. But one of the things I think from that and from what happened since then, is because we talk about, the things that we're talking about with our kids or in schools and that are out. And at Thanksgiving, we're going to possibly run into people who have a very differing opinion of ours, let's say.
Oh yeah.
And uh, that's a thing, but like growing up, you didn't talk about those things. They were, you don't talk about religion or politics in polite company. And the problem with that I've found is that it keeps you from understanding the people around you and what their beliefs are. And that's very important, family or not, to understand yet, okay, so wait, you're really in this camp, whatever that camp might be. And if that camp is offensive to you or even aggressive against you or even destructive of you in your life, you need to know that people are supporting that, and you need to know, you need to hear those things. And I think a big part of what happened through 2020 and through a lot of things that happened politically is that we're now much more open and we
Hmm.
stand up and say, no, this is what we're not doing, or this is how I believe. And I don't think this, whatever it might be, but being able to say, this is where I stand. This is what I believe in, and this is why I believe in it. And to be able to say that to the older generation, the elders, as we would call them, this well, we don't talk back to the elders. You don't disagree with the elders. They have great wisdom, and I'm all for respecting people because of their wisdom and age and the amount of life they've lived, because lived experience is so beneficial for your own wisdom, right?
Right.
But it doesn't mean that they're right. you know and the ability now to be able to look at it, and like, my kids are very respectful, very polite, but they also will absolutely stand up to you and go, no, that's not right, that's not how it's going to be, this is what the reality is. It's well, it's not hilarious, that's not the word I want to use. It is a delight to see the openness of communication. Because again, we've talked about that with our partners. The best thing is to have open, honest communication, to be able to be completely open and vulnerable to your partner is one of the ways where you really learn to grow together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As a couple. And having that same openness with your greater family and your greater community, and being able to stand there and go, okay, no, you do what you want to do as long as you aren't hurting anybody, and I'm going to do what I want to do as long as I'm not hurting anybody, and we're going to disagree. And I
Yeah.
feel like that openness is something that we're really building into the generations, from millennials on. You look at Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I mean, we talked about this before. They'll open up about their mental health in a minute. They have
Yeah.
no problem saying, yeah, actually, my therapist said this. And such a huge difference. And I
Yeah.
love to see that.
Yeah.
And I hope that a lot of people have a holiday experience that they do get benefits from that, and they do find love and joy on their holiday.
I can remember sitting around the dining room table and my great grandmother, who was the only great grandparent that I got to actually interact with, up and through my teenage years. And I remember this is like a very much like a core memory. So as soon as you started talking about like, having an interaction like, that with family, she
Hmm.
said something and I don't remember the exact like what she said. All I remember is like four of us, like of the older grandchildren, literally whipping our heads around all at the same time and in unison saying, "Grandma, that's racist."
Nice.
And all of our parents looking at us like, "You can't say that to her." And she responded with, "Well, that's what I grew up with, so that's the only thing, I know." And it's like, okay, well, would you be open to having a conversation to understanding why that is not an appropriate thing to say now? And
Yeah. Right.
we, we sat down with our great grandmother and had this amazing conversation to understand where she was coming from, why
Hmm.
it was, because it wasn't like she was all the time racist. She just said something that was just pertinent to her. And she was in like 80 at the time. So, I mean, it made sense that, this would be something that she might fall back on just as because older people revert back to younger life
Hmm.
type things.
Yeah.
And I knew that, but at the same time, too, it was interesting because we were like, you realize you have grandchildren that are mixed race, right? Like that was part of the car.
Hmm.
She totally forgot. Like it just didn't like she just grandchildren. Like that's it. Like she
Yeah.
didn't really see like them as
Yeah.
a different color or anything like that. So yeah, it was, just stuff like that takes place from time to time. And it was probably one of the better interactions as far as like that you could have with a family member when you call them out in front of
Hmm.
everybody. But it literally was in unison. There were like four of us who were just like, what? Like, grandma, that's racist. Like, you can't say that. Like,
Right. Yeah. It's really, again, it's that return on investment.
yeah.
It's that guidance and that freaking constant, relentless pushing them where they need to go.
Hmm.
That it really pays off in the end. It really comes around.
And the older generations, they lived through some things. They,
Right.
you look back at the, like I was, this was crazy. So I'm reading a book right now with Corey. I actually will sometimes pick a book out and I'll like read it out loud to
You're
her.
actually reading. Oh, okay. Oh, neat.
I'm actually reading. Yes. I
Nice.
will read a book out loud to her. I can't sit and do it myself.
And
It's like I said, I become a narcoleptic
yeah,
dachshund when I try to
yeah,
read by
yeah,
myself.
yeah. Not to
Um,
shame audiobooks. I want to be very clear.
no, 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 you're good. You're good.
100%. Well, I don't want to sound like, well, you don't read. Audiobooks are awesome. I want to make sure that I'm not being a dick about that.
No, no, you're good. And too, if anybody's listened to prior episodes, you understand like my thing with that.
Yeah.
But no, I found this. So Corey and I are helping lead a marriage seminar
Hmm.
and coming up here pretty soon.
Hmm.
And I was like, I really just want to kind of get a better understanding of like younger people's concepts of relationships and marriage.
Hmm.
And I really didn't think I would run into a book like that. And I wasn't not looking for it at all. I just was in my head. I'm like, man, like the way that younger people date and do different things is so different than when, almost 20 years ago,
Hmm.
I was dating.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming across a book that just came out called I Do. And then in parentheses underneath it, it says, I think. uh, and it basically, it's this younger lady who is writing about her experience of dating and things like that. But one of the things that she was talking about in there was that up until 1967, it was illegal for interracial marriage in the
Hmm.
United States. And I was like, 1967? Shoot, that wasn't that long ago. Like, that was
Hmm.
within my, parents' lifetime. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And also too, another thing is that just understanding that a lot of times getting married was for beneficial as parts to it. Like for instance, like it wasn't until like I think 1975 that up until that point you had to have a co-signer as a female to get a credit card. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm like 1975, like holy crap, that was 5 years before I was born. Like that's insane. Um,
Hmm.
and and now it's like
Yeah.
you don't have to, you don't, females don't have to, do that. Like anybody can get a credit card type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
But
We don't discriminate women like we
yeah,
used to. Basically, women can do everything men can do. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
And again, it was such a short time ago. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
yeah, no, but it's just like all those different things, like, just the understanding of like, okay, like this is what it was like back then, to this is what it is like now type
Hmm.
deal, and understanding that. And so I'm reading through this book and getting some insight into, what it's going to be like to interact with some of these younger couples and, the different things that they're dealing with. Because I think a lot of times, like, as older people, sometimes we look at younger people and go, I don't understand why you find this to be so difficult. Like, I don't understand why you
Yeah.
you can't comprehend this in the same
Right.
in the same fashion that I
Hmm.
am, type of deal. And it's like, no, because they've had a chance to see something in the light that maybe we just sort of like we went through it and didn't really look back at it, and they actually were working through it and seeing it as it came along. So yeah, and I think too, like there's one thing I can say just in hindsight is that even though if you are someone who maybe they went through college and got their degree and everything else, like it doesn't hurt to continually stay educated and understanding what's going on with the younger generations, because yes, like we're living in, a different stage of life or whatever it is, but that shouldn't stop you from, you know, looking at what else is going on in the world. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of times too, like
Very true.
that's part of what's kind of the thing with the older generation, even above us now,
Hmm.
is that they're so locked in that they have
Yeah.
blinders to everything else going around. So
It's kind of understandable. I mean, of course, as you get older, we've talked before about how your neuroplasticity diminishes to the point where you can't change your mind. You can't really take on new information and it change what you've learned because you've already made those neural pathways and they're set. And there's a point where they're no longer able to change. But just the understanding that we grew up in a different world because you're talking about, it's what 60 years ago, the things you were
yeah,
talking about, and that's not a long time. It is about a little less than a lifetime though. And the reality of what it is, like you mentioned in 67, well, in 69, we went to the moon, right? And that seems like nothing. It was just, oh, wow, that is a long, it's 60 years ago again. So those are things. But if you look how much the world has changed just in the past, just since 2020, since we've been talking about that,
yeah,
the changes we've made in our culture and in our society have shifted so much that it's understandable that people stumble with it. People that do, like even young people, they have a new concept like, oh wow, okay, I have to integrate this into my life now. And as you're older, really, I think in your 50s, it feels like, hopefully not until my 70s, we'll see, but you start losing that ability to pivot like that. And the world changes so fast that you can't catch up. And it gives you a lack of the ability to look at people and go, oh, well, this is why you're doing this, or this is why you don't do this. You look at them and go, well, you're obviously wrong. That's not how we did it in my day. Right. And I've
right.
avoided saying that. I just want to just point that out to all my friends. I've avoided using that phrase. I'm not that old yet. Um, but how cool it is that our generation and you yourself and Corey are looking to make sure that you're caught up. You make
Yeah,
sure you're looking at it from the lens of the people that you're trying to help, as opposed to bringing it. And this is how we did it, because I know we've all experienced things where we went somewhere to get some help for something, and the people basically gave us advice that's outdated. This doesn't mean what it used to mean. This doesn't help like it used to help.
yeah,
It could be anything. It could be medical things, even. It could be anything, science based stuff. The reality of, uh, oh yeah, sorry, pop, that's not how things work anymore, right? But that you're doing it and you're moving forward in that, and I think that's laudable. I think that's something that we should definitely applaud for.
well, and the other side of it too is trying to keep in mind, like, my kids are going to be of that age not too long from now, like in the
Hmm.
next 10 years, like,
Yeah.
Hezekiah will, be 22 years old, and it's like, shoot, like, that's, he's an adult, and at that point out of the house, because by that point 22, I mean, he's graduated college and on to other
Hmm.
things, and it's like, okay, like, I want to take this time to basically give him the knowledge and help, guide him in the way of understanding, like, this is what's going on in the world, so that when you get out there, like, it's not like oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of that movie as well. Brendan Fraser and um Christopher Walken's in like a bomb shelter, and like they come out after all these years, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
like the
yeah.
1990s, and he's using
Hmm.
baseball cards as currency. Oh, I can't think of the name of that movie.
I can't either.
But anyway, like, just that whole idea, like, you shelter your kids so much that then when they get out in the real world, it's like just a huge culture shock. Like, that's
Hmm.
such a, disbenefit to, I don't, that's not really a word, but it's not beneficial to your kid at all. So
Hmm.
speaking of something, though, to kind of turn the page before we end this episode, that is beneficial, and I'm going to get this episode out just before it happens. Tuesday, December 3rd, is Giving Tuesday.
Hmm.
And the National At Home Dad Network is a nonprofit. And so we benefit greatly off of the generosity of those who, want to support our organization. And Giving
Hmm.
Tuesday is a great day for that. There'll definitely be some graphics coming out on our social medias with information on how to give. But I just basically wanted to first and foremost just say thank you to everybody who has been giving to the organization.
Absolutely.
It's been amazing to see the work that this organization has been able to do. We've been able to develop quite a few amazing resources over the years because of giving. I mean, this podcast is one of those things,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. You know, the webinar series, the book clubs, just the Dad Lounge and Home Dad Con itself. Those are all things that are huge resources for this organization for other dads.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw recently in the closed Facebook group where a dad found the group. It was like, I never even considered looking for a
Right.
group like this. And he's just like, wow, like this is so amazing. And he's been a stay-at-home dad for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just goes down to show you that there are times where people don't feel like they need to go look for something until they feel just like, look around and be like, I'm in this room all by myself kind of thing. And then when you start to look for it, you're like, oh, never mind. They're there the whole time. I just, didn't take the time to really look into it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I feel like a lot of times what this organization kind of is like, we're
Yeah.
here, and it's like until somebody is willing to take the scales off their eyes to like actually see that there are all these things going on to benefit them. They just needed to basically drop the veil of, I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody else. When in all actuality, like that's just hurting you even
Mm-hmm.
more with that sort of mindset. So hopefully Giving Tuesday is something that everybody that's listening to this episode takes a moment to find a way out to send some help to the nonprofit that you support. Hopefully the National At Home Dad Network falls on that target for you. And just wanted to thank you in advance for your generosity.
I also am very, very grateful for all of our membership. And I was talking to Marnie about potentially trying to get it more involved with the warming center here in town. And basically it's staying up overnight, getting people checked in, and then staying up overnight to make sure that they're all safe and secure and everybody's okay. And then getting up at, 5:30 or 6 or whatever, and making coffee for everybody and helping them back out the door. And it's really something that's affected me doing it. I've only done it twice, and it's just such a deep time, and it's such an experience in its way, and eye-opening, of course. And Marnie said, you're doing a lot already. And I'm like, I don't think I am. And she's like, stop. Let's talk about what you do and don't get any compensation for. I'm like, well, I don't do anything for compensation. I mean, I don't have that kind of jobs. She said, exactly. So everything you do, right? And this does lead into what you just talked about, I promise. And I looked at her and I said, but everything I do for the network is just paying them back, for the wonderful, amazing kinship that I get from our members, from you, my friends, and just opening up my life and finding that there are so many people that are maybe not exactly like me, but are close enough to accept my weirdness and my oddities and the fact that I'm an at-home dad. What's that? And having this community to stand with us. Because it's been just as supportive and beneficial to me, I think, as it been to any member in some way. And I really appreciate that other people take their time, their energy, and their money and support us. It's really just it's very touching. And I'm very, very grateful for everybody that is able to make any kind of contributions to us and our organization, I should say.
Definitely. Well, hey, as always, been a great episode. Definitely look forward to talking to you all again next week, and hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And we're just now counting down the days to Christmas and New Year's, and all that is. So
coming too fast.
I know, right? So until next time, y'all have a good one. Talk to you later.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.